All right, busy kids, welcome to lesson number 2 in our third module here. Today we're going to be learning a new hand position. So let's start by reviewing our new note from last lesson. We learned that this bottom line in the bass clef, line number 1, is low G on the piano. Now, we've also learned 3 other notes in our hand position. We've learned B, C, and D in the bass clef. So we are just missing one note right here, and when we put in that note, we have our new hand position. So we know G. What note would be a step up from G on the keyboard? If you said A, then you're correct. We step up to A, and then we have B, C, and D. So these 5 notes here are part of the G pentascale, right? Our 5-note scale that starts on G. And they're going to make up our low G pentascale because we're going to be low on the piano. So let me show you where that is on the keyboard. My finger 5 would be on low G. And this would be my low G position here. Working up from G, G pentascale, starting with low G. So that's going to be my hand position for our first exercise running along. I'm going to stay here for the entire piece. My right hand's going to be up here with its thumb on the treble clef G. And you'll notice that both of my hands are going to be playing the same notes and moving in parallel direction to start with. Then when we get to measure 7, it switches, and I'm going to be moving in contrary motion, which means that instead of my hands going the same direction, they're going the opposite directions. So if one hand's going this way, the other hand's going this way. If one hand's going this way, the other hand's going this way. Now that can be a little bit challenging. We've done a lot of things in parallel motion, but we haven't done much in contrary motion yet. So if you look in measure 7, let's take a look at that contrary motion. And I want to see if you can figure out a little trick. I want you to write in the finger numbers for the right hand and then the finger numbers for the left hand and see if you notice a pattern. Go ahead, pause the video, just write in the finger numbers for both hands in measure number 7. All right, did you find a little trick that might help you? Did you notice how even though they're playing different notes and going in different directions, we're using the same finger numbers? So finger 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. And it's going to stay that way until the very end of the piece where you're going to be using the same finger numbers. So that's a little trick to help you. Sometimes the switching between the parallel motion and the contrary motion happening within the same piece can be a little bit challenging. You have to kind of teach your brain to think in a different way all of a sudden in the middle of a piece. So take your time when you're playing those half notes in measure 6 to readjust and think about finger numbers as opposed to notes like you've been thinking in the first half of the piece. All right. Pause the video, take as much time you need to work through that contrary motion part of the piece. And when you're ready, you can come back and we can try this running along together. 1, 2, ready, go. Contrary motion. Very nice. So the next thing I'm going to ask you to do in our lesson is to review the C major scale with all the bridges. And this can be found, if you need to look at the music, in lesson 3 of our second module. Want to make sure you're really comfortable moving between those bridges, still remembering the fingering of our C major scale, because eventually in a few lessons we're going to be doing that using our G major scale. And so I want you to make sure that you're feeling really confident in the notes and you're not forgetting things. So the next piece you're going to learn is Musette, and I want to point out a new dynamic sign in there. So we have learned that one F stands for forte, which means, do you remember what it means? Loud. So what do you think two Fs means, if I have two Fs for my dynamic symbol. If you said really loud, then you're right. This means you're going to play really loudly. And the fancy Italian word for really loudly is fortissimo. Can you say that word with me? Fortissimo. Let's say it again. Fortissimo. Very good. It's kind of a fun word to say, fortissimo. I feel like it's very Italian. And you will notice that this piece is, this symbol, that fortissimo sign, is in the last measure of our song. This song is by Johann Sebastian Bach, who was a composer from the Baroque period. And one of our bonus modules, you're going to explore the Baroque period and learn about the Baroque period and what that music was like. And you're also going to learn about Bach a little bit. And he wrote this piece and lots of other fabulous music from the Baroque period. So now might be even a good time, if you haven't already, to check out that bonus module and learn a little bit about Bach. So this piece would have actually been written on the harpsichord, which is a smaller version of the piano, usually around 55 keys as opposed to a piano's 88. And the sound comes from actually plucking the string. You would play the keys here and then a string would be plucked. So it has a really fancy sound to it, but weren't able to do things like crescendo and diminuendo. There weren't any pedals. So you had kind of two volumes. You had loud and you had soft. So a lot of the Baroque music doesn't have a lot of dynamic markings in it. Things like staccato and legato were very important for adding some special things to a piece, some special touches to a piece. And also you'll notice a lot of sort of echoing effect, where we have loud and then we have soft, forte and then piano. And that is called terraced dynamics, where you play a section loud and then you play the same section again soft. We call that terraced dynamics. So that's something that you'll often see in Baroque period music. So let's talk about this musette a little bit. Your left hand is going to be in low G, and it's going to go back and forth between G and D. And that's all it's going to do until the end of the piece, where you're going to play G, D together. Now, right hand has a little bit of a more challenging time. You're going to be playing legato while the left hand plays staccato. It's a little bit like rubbing your belly and patting your head at the same time, right? These two different motions, these two different touches. So what I'd like you to do is start really slowly putting those hands together and not move on until you have the right hand legato and the left hand staccato. Let's take a look at it on the keyboard. Let's just look at this first measure and play the right hand really slowly. We're just going to be playing a G pentascale going down from D, descending down from D. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. All right, now our left hand is just playing G, D, back and forth, light staccato, interval of a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going, keep trying that. And then I want you to see if you can add in the right hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. And if you need to, you can start really slowly and try it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then try to gradually speed up until you get to a nice, lively, quick tempo there. All right, so that's, once you have those two measures down, you've learned, or even the first measure, once you have the first measure down, I should say, you've learned 4 measures of the whole piece. Then the right hand's just going to play alone. Really light staccatos. And then at the end, it's going to do the same pattern, just changes it up a little bit at the end, and you're going to play that G, D that you've been playing back and forth. You're going to play those notes harmonically. Remember, harmonically is where we play them at the same time. So let's try that last chord all together. Ready? And it's fortissimo, so drop into it, make it nice and loud. right. If you need to work on it a little more by yourself, that's perfectly fine, and then you can try it with me. Here's Musette. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, your next piece is a set of 2 marches, sort of 2 short pieces that are meant to be played together. And you'll notice that the first one has a really happy sound to it, and the second one sounds a little bit gloomier. It changes hand positions, the volume is softer. I'd like you to make sure that each of these marches has its own sound and you're bringing that personality to it. So you might even speed up the tempo, the speed of the piece for the first march, like this. So it sounds really cheerful. And then for the second march, you might slow down your tempo a little bit, like this. So that's just a suggestion to really give the 2 marches a distinct sound so they each have their own sort of personality. Now, the tough thing about these marches, I think, is getting hands together. We're doing a lot more hands together playing in this level. So again, I really advise breaking it down into small sections and working on those sections, and then once you have them, moving on to the next section, rather than trying to attempt learning the entire piece at once. As always, I like to just tap out the rhythm when I have hands together playing and I'm holding one hand down while the other hand's still moving. That's a little bit tricky. So let's just try the first 2 measures of the top march, and let's just try it on the lid of our keyboard or a drum or your piano bench or something that you can tap the surface a little bit. Use your round, firm spider fingers, and let's go really slowly through the first 2 measures. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very nice. Once you have that motion down, you're able to hold the left hand down while the right hand plays. Then you're ready to try it on the keyboard. So let's take a look at it on the keyboard. It's going to be in treble C position, reviewing that position a little bit. So thumb on the treble C. My left hand thumb is going to be on middle C. Let's go ahead and just try those first 2 measures. Let's try them hands together right away, nice and slow. See how it feels. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Very nice. Now I want to take a look at the first 2 measures in the bottom, in the second march there. So we're switching hand positions. Thumb on A, thumb on A. Let's try those 2 measures. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. So we took the same intervals from this position and same fingering and everything, and we just moved it into this position, okay? So it should feel, once you have the first march learned, the second march should feel very much the same, but remember, you can make it have its own distinct sound. Make it a little bit slower, maybe softer, sadder sounding, and make the first march a little bit more peppy. Now the other part that I think is a little bit tricky is the last 2 measures of the march, measures 7 and 8. There's a little bit more hands together work here. Let's just try the right hand first. Let's do that again. Just stepping down. Good. Now my left hand's going to go from C to G. Do you recognize that interval? What interval is that there? If you said a fourth, then you're right. It's just playing a melodic fourth. Now let's try doing hands together. Ready? Go. try it again. One more time. Very nice. Now if you look at measures 7 and 8 of the second march, we just shift our hands down a little bit, put those fingers 1 maybe, on our A there. And let's try the same pattern again. Good, let's do it again. One last time. Very nice. All right, you can practice this a little bit on your own. Make sure you're holding those left hand whole notes and half notes, their full value while the right hand plays. And then when you're ready, you can try putting it with me, or you can just listen to it and get an idea for how it's going to sound right now. Here's 2 little marches. 1, 2, ready, go.